Remember when dividing with negatives, don't worry about your negative till the very, very end. So let's review how to divide decimals. There's a few different types that you guys are going to see. So example 1. (9.48) divided by 15. 9.48 divided by 15. Which number always goes inside the house? That first one. I don't care if it's bigger, it's smaller. I do not care about any of that. The first number always goes inside that house, and you put the second number on the outside of it. Now we have a whole number on the outside. So do I have to move my decimal at all? No, I'm going to leave it exactly where it is. So the first thing I almost always do is I bring it directly up. I get it out of my way. Now I'm going to pretend like that decimal is not there anymore. The number is 948. Is that understood? Here's the part where you have to be careful. Your organization with dividing decimals is crucial. If you cannot organize your work, keep it in an organized manner, it can get really sloppy and we can put decimals in the wrong spot. Okay? So can 15 go into 9? No. So what do we put up top? 0. So put a 0 up top. If it does not go in, put a 0. Can 15 go into 94? Yes. How many times? 6. Because what's 15 times 6? 90. So I'm going to put a 6 above the 4 because 15 goes into 94, so the 6 goes above the 4. 6 times 15, as you guys told me, is 90. So I'm going to write the 90 under the 94, and 94 minus 90 is 4. What do I need to bring down? 8. So 15 into 48. Because what's 15 times 3? 45. So that 3 goes above the 8 because it went into 48. And as you guys just said, 3 times 15 is 45. I'm going to subtract again. 48 minus 15 is 3. Now I don't just put remainder 3. What do I have to do? I have to add a 0. So now 15 goes into 30 how many times? Twice. So a 2 goes above that 0 spot. And as you guys just said, 15 times 2 is 30. So what did we get as an answer? 632 thousandths. If I asked you to round that to the nearest hundredth, what would you tell me? 0.63. Nearest tenth? 0.6. Nearest whole number? 1. Very good. What if I added a negative to that 9.48? What would my answer be, a positive or a negative? Negative. So everyone add a negative and add a negative to your answer for me. Cooper.
Could we also do it where you move the decimal over twice and then do that on the 15 too?
You could. That's probably just a little bit more work mathematically speaking. But could you? Yes, as long as you did it on both. Okay? So any questions when I'm dividing by a whole number? Okay, so most people remember how to divide with a whole number. It's when we have to divide with decimals. Okay, so let's do example 2. Negative 16.24 divided by negative 0.14. Negative 16.24 divided by negative 0.14. Now, which number goes inside the house? Which one? That first one, that 16.24. Don't worry about the negatives at all. Which one goes on the outside? 0.14. Once again, don't worry about the negatives until the very, very end. Now, I cannot divide with the decimal on the outside. I can only divide by a what? A whole number. I cannot divide with a decimal. I can only divide by a whole number. So I need to get .14 to a whole number. How do I get it to a whole number?
Move the decimal to the right twice.
So if I move it twice on the outside, what number do I have on the outside?
14.
I'm going to pretend that 0's not there, because that'll confuse me. And if I move it twice on the outside, what do I have to do on the inside? And then I'm going to bring my decimal directly up so I don't forget about it. I have a lot of students who forget about where their decimal goes. So put that decimal up right away. Then you don't ever have to worry about it because it's done. So now it's like I'm doing 1,624 divided by 14. Can 14 go into 1, everyone?
Yes. No.
No, 14 can't go into 1, but can 14 go into 16?
Yes.
How many times?
1.
So you put the 1 above the 6. Your placement, bless you, of those numbers is very important. And 14 times 1 is what?
14.
Everyone?
14.
16 minus 14 is?
2.
What now? So now it's 22. 14 goes into 22 how many times? 1 times 14 is? 22 minus 14 is? Now what? 14 goes into 84 how many times?
6.
What's 14 times 6?
84.
Which means my answer was perfectly what?
116.
Now is that a positive 116 or a negative 116?
Positive.
It is a positive. So that one ended up being a whole number. Went in perfectly. Is that always going to be the case? No. Okay, let's try another example. Example 3. Zero point 0.0338. So 0.0338 divided by 1.3. Which number goes in the house, everyone?
0.0338.
Good. Remember, I don't care that it's bigger or smaller. First number always goes inside that house. Now what? Can I divide by 1.3? I need to make 1.3 what? And if I make 1.3 13, what do I need to do? How many spots do I move it?
1.
So you're only moving it 1. Don't move it to make the inside number a whole number. You do the same amount of spaces on the outside as the inside. Bring that decimal directly up, because otherwise we could possibly put it in the wrong spot. And trust me, I've seen it before. Can 13 go into zeros?
No.
So what should I put in front of that decimal? Don't forget to put that 0, because otherwise I have students who accidentally put their first number there. Put a 0 when numbers don't go in. Can 13 go into 3?
No.
So what do I need to put up above?
0.
Please, please, please make sure you are putting zeros, because that's the part students mess up on. Can 13 go into 33?
Yes.
How many times?
Twice.
Because what's 2 times 13?
26.
33 minus 26 is?
7.
What do I need to bring down?
8.
And 13 goes into 78 how many times?
6.
And 13 times 6 is? So what did we get as an answer?
1.026.
If I made that 1.3 a negative, so everyone make that 1.3 a negative, what does that change about my answer? It's a negative. If I asked you to round that to the nearest hundredth, what would you tell me? 0.03. If I asked you to round it to the nearest tenth, what would you tell me? 0.0, because I'm not rounding it up. You won't really see that a whole lot, but if in case you did see it, that would be the case, okay? Same with whole number. If I rounded it to the nearest whole number, what would that be? 0. Alright, so really it's the same process over and over and over again, right guys? So it's just practice, practice, practice. Questions? Alright, let's go to our dry erase table.